meeting, which is being held on Tuesday, January the 13th, 2026. Happy New Year, everybody, at 9 a.m. in Council Chambers. So first off, we will ask for the Committee of the Whole agenda to be approved. Councillor King, Councillor Chong, pick one. All in favor. Thank you. And the adoption of some minutes, the Committee of the Whole minutes of December the 9th. We need that to be adopted, please. Councillor Bennett, Councillor Poderica, all in favor. Thank you. So the first thing we're going to do this morning is acknowledge some of our long service employees. So I'm going to come around here. Can anybody hear me if I do this? All right. First of all, we'd like to acknowledge Gerald Davis, who has been with us for 20 years. Way to go, Gerald. And I'm supposed to say, go, Gerald. Thank you.
Thank you.
And next we have Justin Price, who has also been with us for a long time, 15 years. Way to go. And the first day he started, he was wearing these orange and he's still wearing.
Thank you very much.
And our next, not longest employee, actually, he is one of the longest, but he's only been a member of council for 5 years, and that's Ryan McCaskill. I thought this was so funny, Ryan, because 5 years of being on council, but what is it, 25 or 30?
25.
With the fire department. So congratulations. Thank you. We also have two other members of staff who are not able to be here today. One of them is John Lura, and it's 15 years. Did I say 15 for you? I'm sorry, it's 10. 10 for Justin, 15 for John. And Dave Gordon, 5 years. So we will make sure they get these given to them. Thank you. Next, we have the RDOS budget presentation, and we have the Deputy CFO, Wayne Making, and our CAO, Jim Safino. And both of them are here to present the RDOS budget, particularly as it pertains to OSUIS. And then there is an opportunity to ask questions after if you'd like to do that. And have you met Miss Keith? Or you have? Good. Okay. So welcome, Wayne and Jim. Please go ahead.
Thank you for having us. So we'll start the presentation off with the commitment to our clients. The RDOS is dedicated to providing the highest level of service to our valued clients. The RDOS is committed to maintaining our quality of service at an affordable cost. The RDOS understands the importance of financial stability for our clients, and we pledge to keep the service cost affordable, ensuring that any increase will not materially affect the client's budget from year to year. The RDOS strives to foster long-term relationships built on trust, transparency, and mutual respect. So next we'll go into a little bit of what the regional districts are as a refresher. Regional districts are corporations formed by the Lieutenant Governor by council, in council by letters patent. The letters patent outline the geographical area of the regional district, which includes municipalities and electoral areas. In the regional district of Okanagan-Similkameen, there are 9 electoral areas and 6 municipalities. The power of the regional districts are vested through the board of directors. Seats on the board are comprised of municipal and electoral area representatives. The RDS board has 20 members, 9 who are elected by electoral areas and 11 who are appointed by their municipalities. All directors bring their local area perspective to the table. However, the overall region's health is the most important view to take when making decisions. Go. Regional districts are not currently taxing authorities. The board of directors sets the budget, then requisitions the funds from taxation through the province of BC. The province issues tax notices to electoral areas directly and charges a 5.25% administration fee. Shared services cross jurisdictional lines, but taxes are assessed so that each property owner pays the same amount for the service regardless of geographic boundaries. Regional districts taxes are based on service, not location, and municipalities tax citizens on the behalf of the regional district. Regional districts manage and supply services to citizens. Some of the services are legislated, like general government and E91 telecommunications. Some services are by choice and are created through public consent process. An example is recreation services. Regional services are services where the majority of electoral areas and municipalities participate. Some of those services are general government, human resources, finance, corporate facilities, emergency planning, regional trails, and regional transit. For rural services, all properties in the electoral area contribute. No municipalities would participate. An example is electoral administration, electoral area planning, the Okanagan Regional Library, and building inspection. Then we have shared services where only those participants in the service contribute. Some examples are fire departments and parks and recreation. And then we supply local services. So these services are defined group of properties within an electoral area contribute. An example would be a water service or a wastewater service, as well as fire protection. Now, a couple differences between regional districts and municipalities. A municipality typically has 3 to 5 budgets, which would be general, water, and sewer, where regional districts must have a budget for each service. So in the RDOS's case, we have 162 services and 162 budgets. Also, if there's a capital component to a service, that needs a budget on its own. So in 2026, we have 162 operating and 62 capital budgets. With each service having their own budget, ensures those who participate in the service pay through taxes, parcel tax, and user fees, and only those in that service. So the regional district budget process, we start in June, where the managers look at their services and set baseline requirements. The first draft is due in October. It then goes to the committee workshops in November and December, where full-time equivalencies, program change requests, regional grant needs are presented to the committee, and then the board makes their decisions at that point. Once the decisions are made, it gets put into the first reading, which we had last Thursday, and then it comes to public engagement, which we're doing right now, and the budget has to be adopted by March 31st. So here's a little comparison of first reading to adoption from last year. So the overall budget for operational expenses is $57.8 million. Municipal debt repayment is $8.3 million. And the capital projects is $49 million for a total RDOS budget of $115 million. Of the $57 million in operational expenses, $1.3 million is attributed to new services, which were added in 2026. Those are the Vintage Views Sewer, Lakeshore Water, Skaha Estates Water, and Transit Route 50. So Vintage Views Sewer, Lakeshore Water, and Skaha Estates, those systems are all around OK Falls, and those would only be paid by the people in that service. The Similkameen Route 50 Transit is the transit route from Princeton to Penticton. So all the areas between Princeton and Penticton would pay. Those being Area H, which is up by Tulameen, Princeton, Area G, which is Headley, Karamias, Area B, which is Costin. I think that's it. So the overall tax requisition of the 115 million budget, we're requisitioning $29.5 million, which is an increase of 1.17 over last year, which equates to a 4.88% increase for the whole of the regional district after non-market growth. In the budget, there's transfers to reserves in the amount of 4.3 million, which is 7.5% of the operational budget. This slide here shows the breakdown of which areas pay of the $29 million. And if we look up top, the RDOS Soyuz is $389 million, which equates to a 6.76% before non-market growth and after non-market growth of 5.43%. These non-market growth stats in here are from 2025. We just received the 2026 numbers and it will be reflected in second reading. So non-market growth. Non-market growth is an increase in tax base or assessed value from new construction and improvements. What this does is it spreads the increase to the new contributors, helping lower the burden on existing taxpayers. So I have an example here. Let's say a service required $100,000 of taxation to do the service. The original tax base, let's say it had 100 homes at $1 million each, would give you an assessed value of $100 million. So that would mean that each home would pay $1,000 per year. Now let's say that service increased 5%. Now the taxation is $105,000 to do the service. But there was 20 new homes, each valued at $1 million. So now the assessed value is $120 million. So a 5% increase in the service would be a decrease to the homeowner. So the homeowners would pay $875 per home a year. So a 5% increase is actually a 16% decrease in this example. So that's how non-market growth benefits the homeowners. This slide here is a visualization of the payment of the 29 million. So if we look for a Soyuz on there, it is close to the bottom, about 5 from the left. And if we split the tax burden per capita, Soyuz would again be in around the same position on this graphic. When looking at the budget, there's a line called support costs. So what support costs are the support departments at the RDOS: Human Resources, Legislative Service, Communications, Finance, Corporate Facilities, and Information Services. So what the costs are associated to keeping the organization going. And so some of those are like utilities, maintenance of the head office, yearly financial audit, organization-wide engagement like Voyant Alert, safety audits, insurance, and some software licensing. So the board has a policy that distributes 88% of the 88% of support costs to operational plan, 12% to the capital plan. Support costs are not charged on debt servicing, carry forwards, or transfers to reserve. This slide here shows a visualization of what those support departments increases look like. We can see information services looks like a huge increase. So that's due to the software industry changing models. The software industry, instead of buying software one time for a purchase, they're now changing that model to a yearly subscription, and that has increased the cost substantially. The other piece too is there's a new department, communications, which split out from legislative services. And legislative services, if you added the communications to legislative services, is the same amount as last year. Now we'll go through what was brought forward to the board for their decisions at workshop. So there was 8 applications received for regional grant and aid. 4 of the applications were accepted. The Okanagan-Similkameen Conservation Alliance was declined because of the ineligibility being that they received monies the last 2 years. The organization is able to apply again in 2027. The Similkameen Country Development Association self-removed the application prior to the budget workshop. There was 8 full-time equivalency asks. The 3 in green are ones that were approved for early adoption, so those cannot be removed from the budget going forward. The first FTE, the Senior Energy Specialist, is a grant-funded position, which means that there's no taxation impact. The second was an IT. Third was Facilities Parks Attendant. The fourth was an Administrative Assistant. The fifth, a Scale Attendant, which again is user fees and not tax. And then there was a Cemeteries and Parks Clerk, which is a 6-month position. And then the Electoral Area Coordinator, which is a 1-year trial position. However, only electoral areas would pay for that one, as Soyuz is not involved in that. And then there was a Fire Services Manager. And there was some program change requests. So the VRR stands for Vehicle Replacement Reserve. Most of these requests were accepted. PCR 5 and 6 were declined by area directors. PCR 7, the director modified the contribution level for that one. PCRs 10 through 17 were deemed operationally required and were already included in the workshop budget. The reason why we brought these forward to the board was because these expenses made the tax requisition go above the 4%, which was outlined by the board as a goal to hit. PCR 16 was removed by the CAO before the workshop. And again, the green highlighted ones are early approvals that cannot be removed. PCR 22 was declined by the director. These are mostly reserve transfers. Then on here, PCR 30, the director changed the scope as the additional service level was no longer net neutral, meaning that the revenue from the court bookings was being put into reserve. PCR 31 was declined by the director. PCR 32 was modified by the director for contribution level. PCR 33 was a net neutral. And PCR 37 was removed before the workshop as the artifacts were no longer in storage for BC tree fruits. And these slides here are showing the capital projects that involve all. So the first one there is the corporate facilities office upgrade. We purchased a building on Skaha Lake Road that needs upgrading so we can move all of our offices into one. The 911 emergency call system projects were all carry forwards from last year. Same with the emergency planning equipment was from last year. Information services, this is mainly due to the new building, so there will be a lot of network upgrades. Solid waste management plan is a carry forward from last year. The curbside cart storage, as you know, we all got curbside carts for waste removal, and the extra carts that we've bought at the time to save on money need some place to store, so we have to create a storage facility. Regional trails is carry forward the Adra Tunnel. Most of the Adra Tunnel is by grant funding. The other piece too is for regional trails, there's some upgrades of 400,000 that's going to be debenture proceeds. That will have to go to the public for assent before it can be approved. For Osoyoos, there's the Osoyoos Arena. There's some arena upgrades that are continuing to happen. And now we have a summary of what the tax requisition impact looks like for Osoyoos. So these first ones are shared services that most municipalities contribute to. And then this one here is the town of Osoyoos in Area A and the outside organizations that we support. So the overall tax burden for Osoyoos is $1.38 million, an increase of $87,000 from last year. The tax requisition increase is 6.76%. However, after non-market growth, the net increase of 5.43%. That's it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Making. I appreciate it. A lot of information there. I'm just going to ask council if there are any questions about any part of it. As a board member, I've gone through it several times, and believe me, it takes quite a while to do it. One of the things I was going to ask about, Councillor King, was the arena, and we skipped over that page quickly, and I'm just wondering if we could go back to that. It's a couple of pages back, and you could explain what the capital costs are for the arena. And Mr. Davis is here, and this is his bailiwick, so I think we all might be interested in hearing about it. It's actually page 37 of 48. Oh, no, new capital projects, Osoyoos Arena. There it is. Thank you. Could you just explain what's in that 2026 budget and where it comes from?
Yes, the Arena Osoyoos is a shared service, and the town of Osoyoos is the ones that give us the budget for the arena. So the arena upgrades is a carry forward from last year. I'm not 100% sure of all that's involved with that, but I believe
I think Mr. Davis
Mr.
understands.
Davis is.
Yeah, we okay with that? Okay. We can't hear you, Gerald, because you need to be on. Could you come up and just speak there? Thanks. Right there, just into the microphone so people can hear.
The big carry forward item for this year is the arena roof. Came in at 300,000. We're actually in the process right now of waiting for the budget to get approved in order to do anything with that. So,
Thank you. Councillor King, you had a concern?
Yeah, you must have read my mind. On that same page, it says equipment for 65,000. Is that what's that piece of equipment?
there were a couple of other items in the actual budget for as capital, three of which are a part of the Fortis upgrades that we did, which we are getting some funding back. Two off the top of my head is the snow melt pit, and the other one is the digital controls.
Yeah, so through your worship, all this was brought forward to council in September and October. So the process is that the town administers the building and the services. We bring forward that budget in, I believe it was September, and council and the public saw all the detailed capital requests, operational expenses changes, to which council then approves and is simply forwarded to the RDOS as part of the overall requisitioning process, whereby the Area A pays a proportion of those costs and the town of Osoyoos basically pays for the remainder. So yeah, that's the general process we follow.
Thank you. And it is a bit confusing because it's not just owned by the town of Osoyoos, it's also Area A. So that's where the regional district comes in. Mr. Savino, did you have something to add?
Just to add, first of all, if you take a look there, it says Community Works Fund Area A. That's the gas tax, which Electoral Area A Director Pendergraft puts in as their cost. Anything in the capital project, just as I'm assuming in any municipality, it's already funded, transfer to reserves from the operational side. So there's no taxation involved in the expenses in the capital. Also, the expense is split up on the operating side by assessment. So the faster you grow, the more you pay.
Thank you very much. Did you have something else, Councillor King?
Question, I guess. Back on the budget summary, the first page, seems like Oliver pays less than what we do here. Is there rationale behind that?
So I'll go back here for a second. So
Oh,
So one of the things that, there are 6 municipality partners. The more services that you're involved in, the more that you would pay. So for as far as in Suez is concerned, if we take a look at, not the summary, but if you go to the detail for Suez, if you go there, that would determine how much you're paying or not. So if you look at Penticton, for instance, there's more services that we do for them than we do for Princeton. Princeton is probably 20% of any average cost for the other 5 municipalities. Why? Because we only do a handful. PIB, Penticton Inban, we actually service 4 services. They pay 5% probably of everybody else's, but Wayne could go further with that. Wayne?
I guess then I relate it to Summerland. To me, the population is twice the size of our town and they pay substantially less.
Summerland does not have the arena. Summerland itself
Oh,
pays
okay.
for the arena, so that would be one of the changes between Osoyoos and Summerland. Same with Oliver. If we look up there, they're at 1.9 million of the total 29 million, where Soyuz is at 1.3. The reason why they had a decrease is some of their services they were able to pare down, and those were mainly the electoral area type
Okay.
services. So.
Okay,
Yep.
anybody else have any other questions, concerns? So thank you very much for coming down and explaining this to us. And I always appreciate having these figures put together just for Osoyoos, because when at the regional district table, we have everybody all together, so it's a bit more confusing. Go ahead, Mr. Savino. Did you have something
Just
more
want
to
to
add?
thank the council for being one of the partners for the organizational health and safety. You are now a partner with the regional district. For instance, we've passed 2 core reviews, and that means that each last 2 years, we received $45,000 extra. That wasn't part of the budget because WorkSafe recognized the core. You are now part of the program that we have. Suias, Princeton, and Carameas signed up as partnerships. Oliver is looking at the success Suez is going to have and will probably join us in 2027. So, and there's going to be other areas where our true enterprise unit is going to be coming back aggressively, looking to see if we can have more economies of scale. I truly believe in one region working together. And one of the things, and Rod hasn't heard about this yet, neither has the other directors, is I'm looking at to see and if we can get a common license for VADM. Right now, Osoyoos, Oliver, Summerland, and us have the same software, yet we're each paying a different cost each year. And I'm going to see, we just hired permanently a IT service senior manager, which I'll be directing and seeing to talk to the CAOs to see if we can get something together to save money. You saw how high our IT costs are. I'm sure if you have the same graph, yours would be just as high.
I have one more question. You moved into a new building. How did you convince the board to spend the money to purchase a new building?
Well, first of all, we haven't moved in yet. We're in the process of reorganizing the building. One of the selling points would be that we're in 3 different locations. One of the 2 of the locations we're leasing, and one of them is our EOC. So you can imagine if we've got 2 years left in that lease, and if we're asked to leave in the EOC, what we're going to do. So we're going to have a permanent EOC in the new building, and the money that we're saving and the 2 lease costs are going to go against the debt servicing. So I don't know if I convinced them. I think what I used logic, and the board accepted the logic that I used.
I'm just going to throw that in there too. The new building will house us all. It will have parking for all of us, which is a big concern because right now it's difficult to get up there and have parking and we a more efficient use of space. And so we're looking forward to moving in, but I think some things are happening over there, but it may not be until the fall. Is that correct? Yeah.
That's correct. Although you can talk to Rod, we've already had one meeting at the
Yes.
CO level so the CAOs got to see it. And one benefit is staff no longer has to park at the beach, risking a City of Penticton parking ticket.
Yes, and so we're looking forward to doing this, plus the building that on 101 Martin Street can be sold, and the proceeds from that will help fund the new building. So thank you very much. Go ahead.
With the sale of the building, staff's taken a request to the City of Penticton for zoning. So right now it's zoning at the lowest level, which means the assessment is as low as it can get. I recognize that, so we're looking at high density, and it's going to go to the City of Penticton council meeting at their next council. So I'll be there trying to sell it.
Thank you very much. All right, so if there's no other questions, thank you very much to Jim and Wayne for coming to our meeting today. We appreciate getting all that information. Okay. And so next we're going to look at quarterly council strategic priorities chart and infrastructure strategy. That would be Mr. Risling. Are you going to talk about that?
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. As council and the public's aware, early in this term, council established strategic priorities as well as an infrastructure strategy, which enabled the administration and the public to have a clearer direction as to where council wanted to focus efforts. So quarterly, we come back to council. It's your opportunity to take a look at what progress or what lack of progress we've made over the previous quarter, and also to provide feedback, change direction, do as you please, because this document is actually your direction that you're providing to administration. So attachment 1 is a snapshot of the existing strategy, and it has color coded on each of the individual priorities or tasks. Green basically means that it has been completed, and red means that it is behind schedule. Schedule 2 or attachment 2 is our infrastructure strategy that has remained relatively consistent since it was passed 2.5 years ago. And attachment 3 is the proposed new strategy, which includes the removal of items that have been completed, as well as proposed new priorities. It's important to note that within the council priorities piece, the items that were placed in that are proposed in attachment 3 are simply that, proposed. And the thought process behind adding the 2 that were added is that they were incorporated into 2026 budget, and therefore that's why administration had placed them, but definitely that is a council decision. So having said that, council, we're looking for your direction.
Just one thing that I'd like to point out, that under operations, a box on the left, the transportation master plan said September 2025, but in fact, it's 2026. So if you could just adjust that. And I've looked through it and I'm okay with what's there, but are there any other concerns or questions, anything that anybody wanted to bring up? No? So on chart A, I like the fact that there are some green ones there, which means that they've been completed, and that's always a positive, isn't it? Yes, there's a few that definitely were a little bit behind on some of the things. The airport management agreement is all set except for I think it's just one thing that we're waiting for, and then that will become green as well. Is that correct?
Through your worship, yes, you're correct. We're from the administrative side. We're ready to go. We're waiting for the society to get their insurance and meet those requirements. Of maybe one additional note, because it has been discussed within the community fairly regularly, and that's a couple of the um, strategies or reviews that we were anticipating to commence at about this time. And the first is with regards to the campgrounds and the recreational areas, is that project was um, originally planned to be initiated about this stage. As part of our zoning bylaw review, it was noted very early in the process that there were a couple more complex issues that were that were tabled in order to pass the new zoning bylaw in compliance with the new provincial changes. So administration has always indicated to council and the public that that project was going to be, I guess, initiated after that zoning bylaw was passed. And that project now is not anticipated to commence until probably December of this year. So maybe some background work, but as far as more of a public out-facing thing, that will occur towards the end of the year, as well as a foreshore review. So that project as well is anticipated to start December-ish or January of next year. So I just wanted to make those 2 or 3 notes to the public, because those were fairly high profile initiatives.
Go ahead, Councillor Chung.
Thank you. I know in April we discussed potentially exploring a bylaw to allow alcohol consumption in Gyro Park. That I don't think there's been really any follow-up.
This,
So we have done some investigating and looking into it. Gerald and I have looked into it in the previous year. We are going to start moving forward again. At this time, we have not made any kind of, or we don't have a timeline to bring anything back to council, because there's a few more points that we need to figure out prior to bringing it to council.
so might it happen by this summer, or is that, you don't want to say that at this point because you're not sure? Okay.
As a follow-up, if we were to make it a priority on said council priorities chart, would that expedite the timeline to potentially having it in place for this coming summer?
It could. There would be more discussion brought forth, and that would be the starting point before any kind of decisions could be made. And so we could prioritize it to bring back the discussion and then move forward with council's direction from there.
I would like to make that recommendation.
So add that to the strategic priorities.
Should be under, that's a bylaw, planning, development, or community services. Community services.
So having said that,
Yeah.
Because one of our struggles on the administration side is that there is a workload issue. And I know within community services, there are several projects that are on the go. We have the childcare committee that's commencing. We have Parks Master Plan. We have the usage agreement with the school boards, and several RMI projects as far as the exercise trail, the washroom, which is kind of a joint effort between operations and community services. So it's one of those things that, there's only so many things that can be put in a higher priority list. So it's okay to put there. I'm just concerned with if there's a date of, let's say, May 1st, it may delay some of the other projects. So it's just we're just putting that flag out there.
Could we add it on somewhere, and in which case, which chart do we add it on to? Just because I had kind of forgotten about it too, and it's not on one of these, and I think we wanted to make sure it was on somewhere.
Yes, so for the most part, how the chart was originally designed is the upper third is really those that are mostly motivated by council. So those are the things that council decides that these are the things that we really want to proceed with. In the lower 2/3 are the connection to the council priorities, as well as sub projects that are of higher community profile that the directors are trying to complete in addition to those items that are identified as council priorities. So we can add them to the operational strategies, but for the most part, again, those are typically driven by the directors in balancing their operational needs with some of the longer term objectives of the corporation. So it's kind of a mixed chart, or it's kind of a mixed chart. And so I guess if it is a really high priority of council, it may be of more appropriately added into the council priorities, because council has the the top bar, which is the ones that are your most immediate, most important objectives to complete, which administration is putting the most effort to. Then to the left, just underneath that table, are your next highest priorities. So as those projects in the upper table are removed, the next items are debated and considered to include in the top. Now, council can obviously change those, but that's in theory how the overall chart works. And as you can see in the, again, the top chart, 2 council priorities were added, which came from the next box. Again, and being presumptuous based on where the budget process was going. Hopefully this afternoon the budget is passed and administration will be proceeding with them.
Go ahead, Councillor King.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I support putting that project under community services as a number 5. It's projected that 1 and 2 will be off the list hopefully within the next 2 months, and that would alleviate some time maybe to move forward. And with that, I have a question. Number 3, it says 225 ongoing up top. It says 226. Is there kind of a month to be added to that, or just it's open ended?
Through your worship, you talking in the council priorities?
Number 3
Three?
under community services
Oh, community services.
on the new chart.
So number 3 was
Asset management.
Yeah, is added, which is becoming part of our process. One of the reasons is we've kept that on there just because of the high urgent need of and direction of council to continue focusing on asset management. And so it's really one of those that maybe could be removed, because we're attempting to, as best we can, incorporate that into our daily processes, but decided to keep it there just from the perspective of a public display that we still consider asset management and overall condition assessments as a higher priority. But I totally appreciate your comments, and that maybe it doesn't totally align because it's an ongoing thing and it can be removed. We just, again, trying to illustrate the importance of asset management to the community.
Yeah, I wasn't necessarily saying remove it, because it's a top priority at the top there as number 3, and you've changed the date to 26. So I support that. I'm just wondering, since you're kind of hinting about maybe taking it off, is there kind of a month that you would support taking it off, or can you put a date on there so it just doesn't stay 25 ongoing means endlessly?
Yeah. So there's 2 or 3 different pieces here. Within the council priorities of the asset management plan, draft plan, which is December 2026. As you may recall, approximately a year, 6 months ago, a year ago, council approved an overall policy. It's a very generic, high level document that indicates, that demonstrates that asset management is important to the town. We've also had several tentacles of that overall project that have been in motion. We've completed a fleet, water, sewer, and also a higher level building condition assessment, which provides some useful information for the overall planning of our asset renewal. As we speak, we have 2 other projects proceeding, which is the agriculture irrigation system. That is, again, nearing completion, probably mid-year, as well as the transportation network, which includes sidewalks and roads, storm sewers. And so that piece is hopefully going to be completed mid-year and presented to council to illustrate our overall condition of those assets, as well as a financial plan to start addressing some of that deferred maintenance and a replacement of some of that infrastructure. So we have several pieces going on here, and so I can totally appreciate how this is somewhat misleading. Number 3, which is the asset management plan, as those other 2 or 3 pieces are being completed and should be completed by mid-year, that will give us a full picture of where we're at on pretty much 90% plus of all of our assets. And that's going to be when it's going to become very, very interesting as far as how we start looking at the total community as a big picture, and how we're going to start funding some of the infrastructure deferred maintenance. And so I can see how it is somewhat misleading. We're talking about this overall plan, which we hope to incorporate after we have all of our semi-plans completed. The number 3 on community services, which you're specifically talking about, is the one with regards to our buildings. And that original plan, again, completed about a year ago, was done at a very high level and not down to more of a maintenance requirement level. Like, so for example, we did high level cost to replace is X, took a general look at the building and said, okay, it's about in this condition, we need to start saving X amount. It did go into a lot of the minutiae as far as the HVAC and the windows and doors and that type of thing, which is more along the lines of almost general maintenance. And so that's why we decided to keep it there. But as we mature our entire asset management plan on our building side, this should become part of the process. The additional piece, I'm sorry for taking so long, but council's also looked at and is incorporated in the budget process, the overall consultation process on looking at all of our buildings, needs of some of our nonprofits, also considering the condition of the Desert Park building, and looking at that whole family of assets and determining how we're going to proceed. So some of the detailed pieces on the facility asset management Marmark process may become moot as we proceed to that consultation process, determining what our overall direction is. We're building that larger community center that houses a lot of nonprofits. Well, then we're likely not going to spend a ton of time on maybe one of the buildings that is at or far beyond what the asset management plan is. So a lot of words there, but in a nutshell, it's basically trying to identify the importance of asset management. We can definitely remove it. This is
Yeah, I gotta back you up a minute. I didn't ask to have it removed, number 1. So you're talking in circles. The transportation master plan comes under operations, not community services, when you brought that into the conversation. All I like to see when you say ongoing, maybe you should have June 30th. You mentioned June 30th, like put a month on it so it's not open-ended. And again, I do support Councillor Chung's comment about putting what he asked for under community services, because I feel strongly number 1 and 2 will be completed within the next 2 to 3 months.
So could we, if Councillor Chung was wanting to add that, could it be put under the chart that's been updated January 13th and added at the bottom as just as the next thing that might come up? We don't, we don't have to say it's going to be done by a certain, but let's get it on the list. Is that what you were referring to, or go ahead?
Yeah, so whenever I'm organizing my to-do list, I always do the things that are the quickest to finish first. And doing assessments of what alcohol consumption bylaws in parks and beaches look like in the surrounding Okanagan Valley. Kelowna and Penticton's, their bylaws look almost exactly the same. So we have a lot of examples that are already in place, that have been in place during COVID, because, I mean, that was one of the very thin silver linings, was more innovation in bylaws to allow for more social atmosphere, including alcohol consumption on beaches. So there, I think a lot of the groundwork has already been done by other council, and a lot of the assessment has been done. So, and I can be completely wrong, but I think the alcohol consumption bylaw may not take as much time, for example, compared to some of the bigger projects we have on the go. So if we can prioritize that even higher, that can be done quicker. And same thing with like fence at the splash park. That's a fairly quick capital project. But is there a timeline for that? Because there's no date.
We're talking about the fence at Splash Park. That's done as a number one priority up there on the chart. I'm not sure whether that means it'll be done first, not necessarily. It's just one of the 3, 4 that's up there. Do we have any idea? Thank you, Mr. Madsen.
No worries, thank you. Basically, we're just waiting for budget approval. We've got quotes and we might have to move some irrigation lines, but it'll be pretty much good to go with the weather we've had. We can hit the ground running pretty quick.
Good. Okay, so where are you suggesting we move it then? To add it on to the community services number 5?
I mean, if the fence at the splash park's gonna be done fairly quickly, like I wouldn't, I'd even just move the alcohol consumption bylaw up to maybe number 5 on council priorities, because in a few months, if everything goes right, those two will be done pretty quickly.
All right, you're making that recommendation? I'm assuming Councillor
Yes.
King, are you seconding that? Okay, so that would mean that it would be committee of the whole recommend looking at the things here, approve the amended with the following changes as contained in attachment 3. So that would be adding number 5, the alcohol consumption at Gyro at the top. So it's been moved and seconded that we add that up there onto attachment 3 at the top. I'm going to call a question. All in favor? Thank you very much. That's carried. Now, is there anything else that that we need to change? Is there anything on the infrastructure strategy? I didn't, yes, go
I'll
ahead.
Just go back to my comment. I know it's kind of petty, but I just relate to number 3 under community services, facility adjunct management ongoing. Is there a chance to put a month on there?
So through your worship, I would recommend removing it, because the initial strategy has been completed. Again, it was kept there.
So it's already, asset management plan is already up at the top as number 3. So then
Move it
we
with
remove it.
fences?
So we remove it from the community services list?
That would be okay. We're gonna continue with the overall asset management plan piece
Because
as a
we already-
corporation as a whole.
Yeah.
The under community services specifically related to buildings, that was a higher level review. So we can remove the one under community services.
Okay.
What do you want?
Do we need, is that all right? Mr. Davis, you're okay with that too? Does that make sense?
Thank you.
Sorry, we need to get you pocket
Um,
speakers.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thanks, Rod. A bigger component of this obviously is getting a condition assessment of the buildings themselves as well, not just the ongoing maintenance and whatnot, which is something that we've actually started but haven't finished. So that is part of the whole process. We have touched base with most of the organizations who actually occupy our buildings, and we have started doing some of that more detailed information, as Rod had said. So we are moving along with that, but for sure we still have quite a ways to go. Yeah.
Is that included in number 4 at the top? Multi-purpose facility includes existing and potentially additional community organizations. Is that part of that?
It would definitely be related, yes. So the outcome of some of that assessment, the condition assessments of the building, or the ongoing maintenance or of, asset management, would definitely be related to that and how we can do it or accomplish that.
Okay.
So it's not, I wouldn't say they're not related, but definitely one helps with the other.
Okay. So if we look at number 3, facility assessment management, and take out the 2025 ongoing and just add condition assessment, which seems to be the main thing there. Is that agreeable? And just leave it in as condition assessment seems to be the big thing that you've mentioned down here at facility assessment, or is it included in the top one and we don't need to? I'm just not sure where it should go.
Yeah, if I
Go
could add,
ahead.
it is included in the overall asset management plan. Everything from our buildings to transportation, everything will be included in that. So going back to the previous comment by the CAO, I think it's reasonable to remove it here because it's pinpointing one little part of the asset management, which will be taken care of in the priority.
All right. So can we agree that we take out number 3 down there because it's already included up at the top? So do we need a motion to do that? Yes. Could we have a motion? Councillor Chong, seconder. Councillor King, all in favor? Thank you. All right. So we'll remove that and it's included in number 3 up at the top. All right, so there are 2 changes that have been recommended. Is there anything else that anybody would like to make mention of in the strategic priorities section? All right, if we've done those 2 changes, is there anything else that we need to add to this? We've approved. Do we need a motion that the committee of the whole recommend the council approve the amended strategic priorities chart as contained in attachment 3? Is that required? Yes. All right. Could we have Councillor Poderica, Councillor Chong, all in favor? And the committee of the whole recommend the council approve the infrastructure strategy as contained in attachment 2 with no changes. Councillor Bennett, Councillor Chong, all in favor. Thank you very much, everybody. And I will look for pick 2, all in favor.